welcome back to Terrifying 10. How's it going, troop? It's me, it's been a minute since we visited our lady friends. Of course, I'm talking about Darwin's Dumbest Damsels. From a woman who ran herself over with her own boat, to another woman who spiked her own drink. I think it's time we reconnect with these fine ladies. Alrighty, enough chit-chat. Let's bring in the ladies. When deciding to rent a boat, it's kind of important that you at least know how to drive a boat. Well, most people would think so anyways. Brandy did not think this was very important at all, so she rented her 21-foot Carolina skiff and was on her way, completely oblivious to her surroundings. She was having a grand time too, wind blowing in her hair, not a care, until tragedy struck. Well, actually it was her boat that had struck a sandbar. She had gotten too close to shore and wasn't paying attention to the sand. Once the boat came in contact with the sandbar, the boat came to an abrupt halt, and Brandy was thrown from the boat. Brandy was now in the water, and the boat was still trying to move forward. Brandy didn't have much time to put it in park before being thrown off the boat. Shortly after being thrown from it, it freed itself from the sandbar and headed straight for Brandy. She was then run over by the very boat she had just been driving. And if you know how propellers work, you'll know that people don't mix well with them. Needless to say, Brandy never returned her boat to shore, or herself. Sometimes your nose is so ridden with filth, you need to do something to clean out all that nasty. And not everyone can go to a doctor because that is too safe and takes too much planning. It is much easier to go off a whim, run to the store, and buy a neti pot. Just in case you aren't aware, a neti pot is a teapot-like vessel used to flush out nasal passages. In order to use one of these safely, you must only use distilled, sterile, or boiled water to rinse your sinuses. Otherwise, you risk tiny organisms getting inside your body through your nasal passages. Now, these organisms cannot enter your body if swallowed, so don't go freaking out about tap water, although filtered water does taste better. But as far as neti pots go, only use sanitary. It even says so on the box and the instructions. Our next lady friend was too lazy for that, remember? She was going off a whim. So she filled her neti pot with regular old tap water. What harm could be done? Upon pouring it in her nose, she also got a brain-eating amoeba. Doctors tried multiple surgeries to remove it, but alas, she was far too gone to begin with. Hard to eat a brain when there's hardly one there at the beginning. Hard to eat a brain when there's hardly one there at the start. She won her Darwin in no time at all. Home renovations can be quite the headache, but sometimes you simply cannot ignore the problems that need fixed, especially if safety is involved. Kalpana found this out the hard way and also the stinky way. She walked into her bathroom to go potty, just like she did multiple times every day, only this time, little to her knowledge, would be her last. While sitting there minding her own business, doing her business, something started to rumble, and it wasn't her bowels, it was her house. Faster than you can squeak out a fart, she was falling, straight down into the dark abyss that was her septic tank. Neighbors heard a scream and then silence, all of them clueless to what had just happened. Soon, some of them came to see what had happened. The door was broken open, and we saw that the toilet seat had given way, and she had fallen in the septic tank. Her body was found 3 hours later, and boy, am I sorry for the people who went looking for her.
Ew, gross!
Now, are you seeing the importance of home renovations? Some people are so passionate for each other, they are left blind. The heat of the moment gets to them and literally nothing else matters. Nothing can get between you and your lover. Two such lovers, from Russia of all places, found this out the hard way when they crash landed on cement from the 9th floor. They were doing the dirty deed and that was all that mattered to them. A few drinks didn't help blur their vision either. Witnesses to the scene saw box TV come falling from the sky and crashing into the ground. Baffled by what they saw, they hardly had time to process it before a couple came plummeting down after it. The woman was underneath the man, cushioning his blow. She did not survive the impact. The man, however, only suffered minor injuries before getting on his feet and staggering back to the party buck naked. They had just fallen 120 feet. She had won her Darwin Award, and he, in true Russian fashion, wasn't going to let anything stop him from a few more drinks. Talk about a story for him to share at future parties. Dog is a man's best friend, there's no doubt about it. But no matter how close two friends are, they still can't read each other's mind. So when one woman was on a train and decided at the last minute to hop off, she forgot to inform her doggo of this plan, and her dog just sat there clueless. Amy Adams was on the BART train with her dog. No, not that Amy Adams, this one. And they were enjoying their ride. The train was about to depart and head to the next stop when suddenly Amy realized that she actually needed to get off at that very stop. Before the doors closed, she leapt off the train. Her dog sat there. His brain hadn't caught up yet. She was on the platform, the dog on the train, and the doors closed fast. After they closed, the train began taking off, but Amy was still holding on to her dog's leash, and she was not about to let go. Although, that would have been the best option. She could have met up with her dog at the next stop. But instead, she held on for dear life until she lost her life. Because people aren't supposed to ride on the outside of a BART train. Duh. She won her award that day, and her dog was left shaking his head because he was the smarter of the two. Golf carts can be so much fun. Drinking wine can be so much fun. Combine the two and you have a day jam-packed with fun. Deborah loved wine and golf carts. She loved wine so much that she was actually drinking 2 glasses at the same time. Deborah and her boyfriend were joyriding their golf cart around their private olive orchard when things got too fun. Instead of putzing around, they were smashing more than just the wine, but the golf cart as well. One sharp turn was all it took to throw Deborah off the golf cart and onto the ground. Don't people fall off golf carts all the time? Well, yes. Yes, they do. Probably too often. But how often does one fall off a golf cart while holding not 1, but 2 glasses of wine? Now, it's happened once. Deborah fell, and she obviously had no hands to catch herself because spilling wine is a crime. So, instead of catching herself, she landed smack dab on top of the wine glasses, which shattered into pieces and then into Deborah. She was pronounced dead at the scene. And her boyfriend? Now he understands why drinking and driving is such a bad thing. Is there anything cooler than golf carts and wine? If you said cannons, you're correct. I mean, come on. If you were able to fire a cannon, would you pass up that offer? I personally think it would be a blast. Our next California couple thought it would be fun too. Somehow, this couple had gotten their hands on a cannon. I literally have no clue how they could have afforded it because they lived in a trailer home. The cannon, if sold, probably could have helped them out financially in a very positive way. But instead of selling the cannon, they decided to fire it, but not outside. That might bother the neighbors. No! Instead, they brought their cannon inside their trailer trash home and fired it in the living room. This literally screams American white trash more than anything I can think of. As expected, after firing the cannon, shrapnel flew everywhere. The couple were both down for the count. Emergency crews showed up shortly and brought the boyfriend to the hospital. The girlfriend, she was already clutching her Darwin Award when they arrived. Next time you get the urge to fire a cannon in your living room, think again. It was late at night and Mary Reeser was getting ready for bed. She was in her jammies. Jammies on. Time for one last smoke before crawling under her cozy covers. But Mary was more tired than she thought and she fell asleep while smoking. The next morning, her landlady stopped by to deliver a telegraph, but no one was answering the door. Emergency crews were called, and what they discovered would remain a mystery for many years to come. It looked like Mary had spontaneously combusted. The chair she was sitting in was burnt beyond recognition, and the rest of the house remained untouched. Somehow, when Mary fell asleep, her smoke still lit, she had dropped it, burnt herself and her chair, and absolutely nothing else. We still don't know why. But the lesson we can learn from Mary's Darwin Award is this: smoking kills. Nowadays, it seems like Alexa can do almost anything. Keyword there? Almost anything. For regulatory reasons, Alexa cannot be instructed to dial 911. Because imagine the heyday parents would be having if their kids figured that one out. Our next lady friend was sick, and instead of picking up her phone and calling for help, or heck, even just screaming for help, she decided to lay there and repeatedly ask Alexa for help. Alexa was basically useless, and the lady ended up dying on the floor. Detectives recovered Alexa's recordings and heard the lady asking, "I am in pain. I have to find a way to relieve it." And, "Alexa, how do I get to the police?" She never did ask Alexa to call 911. Not that that would have helped. And she never asked Alexa to call anyone she knew so that they could come and help her. Instead, she just sheltered in her home for 4 days until her Darwin Award was presented to her. I guess AIs aren't as smart as we thought they were. Or maybe it is, and they just want us all to suffer in pain. For many people, there's always that fear in the back of your head that someone will spike your drink while you're at a bar or a club. There are many ways to remedy this, like not taking your eyes off your drink, or even those cool new nail polishes that change colors if your drink has been spiked. But what if someone you trust spikes your drink? Or even worse, what if that person is you? Most people would never think to spike their own drink maliciously, but one woman did. Yes, a woman was drinking in a Scottish pub when she began complaining she felt off. She began saying she thought her drink was spiked with something. She needed help. She was rushed to the hospital, but it was too late. Her Darwin was already on its way to her cold hands. Police were very concerned that someone would spike a woman's drink to the point of passing. That is, until they watched the security cameras from inside the pub. Turns out, the woman had spiked her own drink just to get some attention from others. She just didn't realize how potent her spiked substance was until it was too late. If you can't trust yourself not to spike your own drink, who can you trust? Well, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you enjoyed more of Darwin's Dumbest Damsels. Now, before we leave, I have a homework assignment for you. I want you to think of a Halloween-themed idea other than Darwin Awards or Dumbest Criminals. What kind of dumb, whatever, Halloween-type videos would you like to see towards the end of the month? Let me know in the comments, shoot me an email, whatever you like. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing to the best troop on the interwebs. Smash that like button. And don't forget, always elevate Troop TT.